Opponent is 2-1. We're 0-0. Gotta have lands. Alright, tough start. No lands, no lands. Ah. Thank goodness for the London Mulligan, though, right? Thank goodness for the London Mulligan. So let's put back Batterskull and then probably Jace. Yeah, Mold of Fives on the play. Definitely don't feel very good. My opponent says they're playing my deck. What deck of mine goes Forest Birds of Paradise? I don't know. Maybe I've been brewing too much lately. Do you think I'm going to play Stoneforge Mystic on turn 2? We couldn't have gotten a green source and a snowland, which is a bit awkward here. Possibly I should have just gotten a snowland. Planeswalker Prison, maybe. Oh, this is the Devotion deck, I think. Well, yeah, land for Queller would have been really nice. This has got to be like the Leyline and Search for Greatness Devotion deck. Yep. Well, let's see how punished we get for not choosing to get a snowland. Not punished at all. So I think I was playing 2 Gargaroths the last time I played this deck. It has been a little while. To see how many more payoffs they have. It's a pretty good payoff, although the Nissa should pressure, or the Germ token should pressure it. Old Growth Troll, though. Okay, well, we're in bad shape. Might just be packing it up in a second. I don't think we can attack into the Troll. Kind of cool to see people playing this deck. I like the In Search for Greatness deck. I do think In Search of Greatness is good in this deck. For whatever reason, I'm just not jiving with it in Pioneer. I think the main reason is no Leyline for the nut draws. I think having access to the nut draws makes the card so much better. Can't mana leak this. Let's just go ahead and go to game 2. Getting run over for sure, but also yeah, we were on a mulligan to 5. Needle naming Nissa or Karn seems worth it to me. Force of Negation I think is good against our opponent as well. I probably don't want Remand. I could probably trim... Well, I probably do need these mana leaks. I don't think I want my own Gargaroths. I feel like my Gargaroths are a lot worse than theirs because mine come out much, much slower. I want the Anthonices. I guess we could maybe cut the Jace. Do we have other answers to Ensnaring Bridge? We do it to Teferi Time Raveler. I guess I'll just cut Mana Leak number 4. This feels like the card that needs to go. I think Toskis are good. Not 100% sure. Just my opponent can't ever deal with it. Right, on the play for game 2. Definitely a keepable hand. Oh, sorry. Thought my headphones were on. No Leyline is nice. Love to draw Anthonice or another 1-drop. Probably a bit too much to ask for, I guess. I think we're getting sort of Feast and Famine here to go with the Toski. Is Dreadhorde Arcanist good enough for Modern now? I like it a lot. I have a Dreadhorde Arcanist deck, a blue-red one that I like. I haven't played it in a little while, though. Oh, so many mana dorks. We can attack with the Stoneforge here for 2. Play Toski. Toski is pretty bad against Karn here if they can play Karn and shut off my sword. This feels like a bad matchup. White Toski post combat. I guess that was wrong. Sorry. Still kind of waking up. Is there a world where we don't need the fourth force on the side? Yeah. I don't think it's 100% like the most necessary thing ever, but I think it's good to have access to. They have both Nissa and Karn. And the Nissa lands are colorless too. Well, this is really bad. Probably dead. Just not being able to equip the sword here is such a disaster. I guess we have some lines that could maybe get us out of this, right? That's an interesting one. An interesting place to start. Another interesting draw, wow. Although I think we're just needing to draw 2 cards here and draw some interaction. Toski and Hierarch number 3. Not exactly what we were hoping to find, but we'll keep playing. Do I think this is the best version of Bant Squirrelblade? I do, yes. We could have had one more card in our hand this game. Not sure how big a difference it would have made. So my opponent has potentially... They have a forest in hand, so they have 8, 12 mana. They can play a 6/6 Ballista. It's probably just not beatable, right? Yeah. Good enough for me. Tough stuff. Seems like a tough matchup. I think we have to mulligan this. We don't have blue mana. We don't have a second blue card for force. Yeah, this hand's way better. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're just describing exactly Elvish Mystic. Like, that's the only card you're talking about. And Elvish Mystic is a much, much lower power level card than Noble Hierarch. And Noble Hierarch can trigger Toski. Or Arbor Elf, yeah, that's true. Other decks I'm playing? I'm not sure. I might just be playing this today. But I'm going to see where the wind takes me. Why did I change 4 Misty Rainforest to 4 Windswept Heath? So I realized that Windswept Heath was the best fetch land in the deck, and I think was wrong for not realizing it sooner. But Windswept Heath can cast Noble Hierarch or Anthonice on turn 1 off of a basic land. But specifically, being able to cast Anthonice on turn 1 is something that Misty Rainforest can't do. And both of the other fetch lands can. And all the fetch lands get all the dual lands, of course. I actually think that Misty Rainforest is the worst fetch land in the deck. Opponent's looking for Spell Snare. Didn't find it. How often these Exile to come up? Really, really often, but also Hierarch taps for Bant, you know? Hierarch taps for Bant colors, you know? It's not... That's also a big part of why the card is so good. I kind of want to get Feast and Famine with the Castle Ardenvale in my hand. It's not just having another attacker. It's also the Hierarch taps for all of your colors in a color combination that doesn't have great mana. Ever thought of playing the fourth Queller? I did play the fourth Queller for a little while. I didn't like it very much. So I'm no longer playing the fourth Queller. I just love getting my Hierarch pathed. Or sorry, my Stoneforge Mystic path. Always feels like I'm winning the game when that happens. Yeah, okay, drawing Ice-Fang, I'm definitely just sitting back on my mana here. Yeah, I agree that Noble Hierarchs are a good buy right now. They're like $10 or something like that. I'm used to Hierarchs being like 50. Well, I probably don't want to commit the Castle Ardenvale into the Field of Ruin in this spot. Is it Toski time? I feel like playing Toski into like the 4 open mana is pretty good. Like, yeah, they can have another path, but that's not even so bad for us. It's not like it's also not so good for us, I should say. Where's the Toski? Yeah, still waking up a bit too much to go for a Toski. Hopefully they Field of Ruin me too. They don't, but they do Vendilion click me. Huh. I was not expecting to see a Vendilion click. What's the inspiration to play Feast and Famine? I know you've been historically low on it. I don't think I've been this card? I've always played Feast and Famine in blue blazed Stoneblade decks. The card's really important, I think. Kane, 6 months. Thank you for resubscribing. Thank you for coming back. Must have me confused with a different streamer. Why do we like Toski, y'all? Well, Toski is an amazing Magic card. Is the main reason. Toski's great. Oops. I'm gonna leave a Breeding Pool here. Sorry, why am I typing? My mana so bad. Okay, they force pitching Shark Typhoon. They're down to 1 card in their hand. We have a huge mana advantage and like technically a card advantage, but if their last card is like a Jace or it's a Fairy Time Raveler, we may be in bad shape. I think we're also supposed to attack here. We are definitely the beatdown deck in this matchup, even though we're losing the race right now. Alright, so I think that here I'd like to attack with Ice-Fang and bounce my Ice-Fang with Teferi. Get a little bit of card advantage. You would think Teferi first there. Turned out it didn't matter. I would rather my Sword of Feast and Famine be countered than my Teferi. Is why I cast the Teferi first. I thought that was clear, I guess, but maybe not. But I think the Sword of Feast and Famine gets blown out by a lot of different things. You know, spot removal spells. My opponent's was already kind of low on resources. So I wanted to have the Feast and Famine be the bait spell. It's also like really good if my opponent has nothing. We can just get to equip, hit them. Then it's clear my opponent has nothing. Then I get to resolve Feast Teferi post combat. All right, flooding out a bit. Although 2 of these lands were from Path to Exile. Still ahead unless they have Hero of Dominaria, which they do. Feels terrible. Alright, that was a good draw. So, Sword of Fire, Ice. I'm just going to hit my opponent right here. Deal 2 to the Teferi. Or I could just deal 2 to them. They're at 10. It's kind of close. I think I'm dealing 2 to them. Hopefully my opponent just has, 4 counter spells in their hand. They plus their Teferi. They did think about it, so I think if they had a card like Supreme Verdict already in their hand, they would have just immediately plussed. They got a down tick? Well, I mean, it depends on what's in their hand. How's the Jund matchup for this deck? Pretty even. So my opponent has, I guess, Shark Typhoon here, right? But Sword of Fire and Ice is pro blue. I think they just realized that. Right, 1 game 1 feels pretty good. So usually I cut 4 onto Ice and I bring in the 2 Veils and the 4th Force of Negation. And then I've often bring in the first Pithing Needle for Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Shark Typhoon. Sometimes you just have to name Jace, even though we have a Jace in our deck. I could see maybe playing the Nicer Path because we did see Click, but I think I'm just not scared of Click because I'm playing Ice-Fangs. The Jund matchup is really fun to play, I'll say that. Is the Toski alternative version worth it in paper? You're talking about the showcase? I mean, for something like that, a question like is buying the alternate art worth it? I can never answer for you because it would only ever be worth it to you or not worth it to you. What card choices would change in this deck if there were a Bant Triumph? I mean, I would be playing a Bant Triumph, and I probably still would play the Glacial Floodplain. I'm not 100% sure. That might be the card that gets cut. I might cut third basic island because I think that's something that doesn't need to be in the deck. I might cut Prismatic Vista since I might want all my fetches to get the Bant Triumph. Although I would probably still be pretty happy to draw the first Vista each game. But it also just doesn't matter that much, right? We'll figure it out when we get there. We have plenty of time. Did I catch the deck tech? I did not know. If you could resend it, that'd be cool. This boost the stream stuff, and I appreciate you guys boosting. I found it. Had me miss it. Bant Retreats. Okay, I do really, really like Knight of the Reliquary with Feldar Retreat. That's something I've played in Historic. I like the first Jace the Mind Sculptor. I like 3 Feldar Retreats. I really dislike 2 copies of Celestial Colonnade. Maybe you can play 1 as a tutor target, though. Yeah, I do feel like you're missing utility lands to tutor up with your Knight. It's like just 2 Colonnades. I don't like that. You can play a Castle Ardenvale, which would probably be pretty good. Maybe a Castle Vantress. You could potentially play a Horizon Land, although historically I'm not super high on those. Good hand. I'm feeling just the 1 copy of Retreat to Coral Helm. It's actually making a lot of sense to me. I like that. Yeah, immediately thinking about it, just trying to figure out exactly what utility lands does seem kind of tricky. But I think that you can figure it out, and I think you can make it work. Let me wait on the Stoneforge Mystic till turn 3 when I have Veil up, I think. I like the 1 Loam. It's possible you could get away with 25 lands and a Loam. I guess not if you're playing more utility lands, but I think you probably want like 3 utility lands to get. I'm just not sure exactly which ones. How's your D&D matchup? Pretty even. If we weren't playing Omthanice, it'd be better, but it's not like the matchup is bad in my opinion.
I made you a macchiato accidentally.
Oh, what's that? What's different about it?
It's just foam on top.
Sounds less fancy that way.
Macchiato.
I'll take the foam on top. Toski tattoo. Interesting. The first tattoo option, that sounds pretty good. I think this is also a hand that wants Sword of Feast and Famine. Want to play it next Thursday? Yes. And if you want, I can, maybe like just think about the utility lands and play it myself. I think I'm pitching Queller. Do I think a Toski tattoo would confuse Athena? That's a good point. I'll get an Athena tattoo. I don't have any tattoos, but I would be open to getting one, but not for channel points. I should probably clarify. Not really open to getting a tattoo for channel points. Can't Force of Negation a Toski opponent. If you were going to consider another mana dork, would Avacyn's Pilgrim be a possibility? I guess. I do have a soft spot for Avacyn's Pilgrim, admittedly. I don't think I'm supposed to go for the sword. It's just so bad against Path right now. Just attack with both. Tron Tattoo confirmed. Yeah, I think that is what I said. Yeah. Probably gonna go for Ice-Fang plus Leak here. Don't think I'm supposed to jam the Jace. Yeah, if they path my Stoneforge, I'm actually, I think, just kind of thrilled. Look at this mana advantage we have. So we go for Feast and Famine here with Mana Leak up. Kind of like that. I have enough, more than enough lands to get. I think I'll go for Double Hierarch here. I know this taps me out of Leak. But having two different... Yeah, if they're going to counter this? Wow. Well, I feel good about my play then. Just to make them use the Dispute there. Imagine having two Avacyn's Pilgrim in the battlefield, dropping Toski and drawing 2 cards. I mean, that requires you to have 6 total mana. I understand the dream. I get it. I really don't think you want more than 4 dorks though, and I think Hierarch is still the best one. But maybe you can prove me wrong. Good luck, opponent. They have a 3rd Path to Exile. We can't mana leak it, but they have to they probably have to path Toski, right? And then we still get to hit them with this. So if they path here, it's really bad for them. If they path here, we also have backup Toski. Then we can mana leak anything besides another path. So I'm feeling pretty good about our spot. Yeah, birds being flying with the swords, I agree, is pretty relevant. And again, just tapping for all your colors is so nice. You know, just 3 color mana bases without a triome really struggle sometimes. 104.3A incoming. If my opponent was playing Oust, I wouldn't have been able to use this amount of mana, by the way. Opponent's not conceding. It's very brave. Commendable, even. They discard Vendilion Click. We draw a really good card in Ice-Fang. Jace is enough to push them over the edge. Just because a card dies to some things and isn't, you know, doesn't always win you the game, just like Jace the Mind Sculptor, doesn't mean that it's not a good card. Toski is great. I feel like that was that game I feel like was a good showcase of it. But Toski has been really good for me. The card is also like a super resilient 4-drop, you know. When you compare it to Jace the Mind Sculptor, like I do think Toski's better than Jace in this deck, you know. Jace is also very fragile. Dodges some things, you know, like Fatal Push, but still dies to Lightning Bolt and creatures attacking it. Toski dies to Path, Dismember, Soulscar Mage plus Burn Spell, but not much else. How do you as a Stoneblade player beat Tron decks? I've been playing a lot of Damping Spheres in the sideboard. You can also play a lot of Ceremonious Rejections. I don't think that the matchups are that bad. Prime donating for the Bant Retreat deck. Sounds good. I'm not sure exactly what number that'll be next week. The queue's a bit weird right now, where I've got 2 build-arounds. I've been asked to build around Lazav and Painter's Servant, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get either one done, but I'm going to try some this weekend. Just looking and try to figure those out. And then there's your deck, and there's also a Grixis control deck that I just feel like I can't play it as is. They're playing like discard spells, Kroxas, and Days Undoing Narset. I think like those two plans don't work well together. Yeah, I kind of have to pick one. So I'm probably need to email the donator for that. I think we have a good Grixis Shadow matchup. Although, oh my gosh, this is the best draw we could have possibly had here. Painter in Modern or Legacy? I was asked for Modern. I've seen some Painter Servants decks in Modern. They can be kind of interesting. My opponent has Double Threat here. It's interesting as well. Witch Lazav, the 2-mana one. I've seen some people play it in Modern. I would try to find something maybe a little new. You know, kind of the obvious card to pair it with is Kroxa. I wonder if you could have like a Grixis Vile deck with Lazav and Kroxa. I think I just want to bounce the other the shadow here. Not 100% sure. I'll also force a discard spell. Lazav Infect. Having a hard time visualizing Lazav Infect. I mean, I think Grixis Death Shadow is fine. I've seen people playing it recently. It doesn't seem bad to me. I think I'm getting Feast and Famine because I have Ice-Fang. Yeah, the Grixis, Lazav, Kroxa, Underworld Breach. I've seen Diablo X something. I can never remember Diablo's letters. But I've seen people play those decks. They seem like they have some legs. I don't know how good they are. They certainly don't seem to be unplayable to me. Queller's interesting. I don't have Death Touch on this Ice-Fang, notably. I think I am attacking. Do you really think this attack is good? Is what you're supposed to ask in chat. I think I'm chumping on the Shadow too. We know they have an Angler in their hand. It could be good to Spell Queller this. Since if they have a fetch land, they can now play Angler. I'd kind of like to Spell Quell something else though, if I can. Oh wait, they can Angler. Angler 7, yeah. Should win here, right? You think jumping with the Coatl is better than jumping with Hierarch? I disagree. Flying Attacker is pretty relevant, and like this becomes a Death Toucher just with one more snow permanent, which is really, really important here. I disagree. And maybe you could tell me why you think it would be better to jump with the Ice-Fang instead of the Hierarch. Queller is my flying attacker, I guess, but like I can still Queller even without the Hierarch. Jump with Ice-Fang lets me cast Sword and Feast and Famine on the Queller. Is your argument, I guess? Doesn't seem that unreasonable. This has been my sideboard plan against Grixis Shadow, and I think I like it for the most part. Yeah, I think I'd still rather jump with the Hierarch. Just Ice-Fang is one of the best cards in the matchup. Is definitely my mindset going into making this decision. That Ice-Fang is one of the best cards in the matchup. So throwing it away like that seems just like something you're not supposed to do. But maybe it was better. My opponent didn't play a discard spell on turn 1, so I'll just play Hierarch over holding a Veil. Have I considered 3 mana leak and 2 remand? I think 4 mana leak, 1 remand is better. It's just like such a small difference that it's probably not great to just sit here, you know, debating it, but I like the split I currently have. It's probably not a difference that you would really ever notice very much of, though. Have you considered 3.5 mana leak and 1.5 remand? If I could somehow do that split, I would. Probably. No Shadow and no Angler in our opponent's hand. That is a big, big deal. And that's a big, big draw. So my opponent probably has plenty of counter spells in their hand. I think I'm going to go ahead and fire off one of mine. Damn it. Sorry. My bad. I meant to play a Teferi here, although this is maybe going to work out better for us. I did mean to play a Teferi here, let it get countered the next turn. We can play either Ice-Fang or Teferi with Veil up. I don't know why I thought this was entering untapped. Yeah, we're playing Ice-Fang now. Or Veiling a discard spell. Or dying to Temur Battle Rage. Although TBR only puts us to 4. Yeah, this is actually going to end up being just fine. Although... Shit. Yeah, I think it's better to not Veil this. Although they're gonna take my Veil, then counter my Teferi. If we Veil here, we don't... if we Veil of Summer this, my opponent... we don't get to play Ice-Fang. And then we jam Teferi, and then Teferi just gets countered. So I think that we have to make sure we have Ice-Fang in play. But my opponent doesn't have the counter spell, so never mind. Why not block with Coatl? It did not have Death Touch because I mistakenly played the Castle Ardenvale. Alright, they take my second Teferi. Bye, have a good day. Love you too. With no discard spell on turn 1, we didn't want to hold Noble and hold a Veil on both turns. I mean, with no discard spell on turn 1, holding a Veil is not very likely to be cast. But thank you for your 5-month resubscription, J Riot. Is this what I'm planning on playing this weekend? I'm actually skipping this weekend's tournaments. I have stuff to do. But it's probably what I would play again. We can't beat Temur Battle Rage. I think I'm leaving the Ice-Fang back to block. We can chump with the castle, but if they have a second threat, chumping with the castle is much worse. Well, Castle Ardenvale saving us for now. Yeah, Teferi does, let you at least know the Temur Battle Rage is coming. And, it's nice that it means that a second removal spell doesn't kill us here. Wait, they were attacking Teferi and not me? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but... I'm at 10. You have a 10-10. Attack me. If, It doesn't matter, though. Probably better to activate Castle again and not die to Fatal Push. Then we get to minus on the Shadow next turn. Yeah, they can main phase the Temur Battle Rage, yes. And I'm pretty sure we're playing this Gargaroth. And might as well deploy the sword too while we have the mana, even though it does show them what we're on here. Were we not able to let Teferi go and suit up a token with a sword? I mean, that plays around my opponent having nothing, and my opponent has 4 cards in their hand. So that line is much, much worse against my opponent having Fatal Push or Stubborn Denial for the sword. Sounds good. Can keep. You've been awake for over 24 hours? Well, I won't tell you how to live your life, but Might be time to go to sleep. You tried. Well, you tried. So probably all you can do, huh? Wooded Foothills, Temple Garden, Arbor Elf. Heliod combo. Our hand's pretty good against Heliod, I think. We get to sword them next turn with the Ice-Fang. Although if they have Ballista here, it's scary. They have Coco. We do have outs to infinite life, which is nice in a spot like this. I'm doing well, Alan. How are you doing today? Pretty sure I'm supposed to go for Sword of Fire and Ice. I know that they can hit Skyclave Apparition. But they can also like not hit a very impactful company. We can just win, and keeping them off of the extra Arbor Elf mana next turn seems like it's potentially important if they hit Heliod and Ranger Captain. Seems wrong to not Coco there. Coco players tend to like really, really respect Force of Negation. Okay. I have outs to life, but you should gain a bunch so I can hit you with swords. Alright, so I'm telling my opponent I have outs to infinite life, but they need to gain a bunch so I can, hit them with the swords. And I'm going to kill the Spike Feeder so I'm not dead to Conclave Mentor. Jaces are out, and this is the reason we have Jace in the deck. So we don't have to concede in this spot, and if we can just, pick off creatures with swords and really grind them into dust, all we have to do is have Jace not be in like the bottom 6 or 7 cards of our library. I know I never have to concede in the spot. I think it's poor form not to. Also, it is a little frustrating because I'm going to have to attack my opponent for a lot this game, despite them having infinite life. Like with Toski and swords, it is and Batterskull even gaining life. If I get some advantage for hitting my opponent, I'm going to take the advantage. I'm not just going to forgo that because my opponent's at infinite life. Because if this was paper and they had infinite life, I would get the card. I would get the life from Batterskull. I would draw the card from Toski. I would deal the 2 damage with Sword of Fire and Ice. I'd make them discard with Feast and Famine, and I'm not going to forgo that. And so it is weird here, but they probably need to gain like 500 life or something like that, which is a bummer and bad TV, but it is what it is. Yeah. The combo is not that it's not that slow to execute, but I think they have gained too small an amount of life. I'm not going to be dealing damage to them if I can't help it. I will if it's like the only target, I suppose. They're going to gain some more life. We have to kill the Spike Feeder so if they have Conclave Mentor, they don't just get infinite power. I have people in the Ponza community testing Toski. It's probably great. Toski's probably great there. They do get to deny the card, but I think that's still what we have to do. Toski might be a better sideboard card, but it's probably great in Ponza. Alright, they get my Sword of Fire Ice, which is pretty good for them. I've got 2 cards left, though. I guess they also have these canopies. Alright, they have Infinite Life Part 2. So do I want to get my opponent Hellbent? Or do I want to draw a card? I think it's better to get them Hellbent. We can play the Toski post-combat if we want to. I know it seems like I'm trying to get in for an extra damage, but I want to use all my mana before it untaps. The last card, Elodarme's Call. Glad I chose to make them discard it. How do you win through Infinite Life? I play one copy of Jace the Mind Sculptor in my deck, exactly so I can beat Infinite Life. I'll ultimate the Jace if I draw it, you know, eventually. My opponent top-decked Archangel of Thune. Now they have infinite power. To be fair, they had a lot of good draws there. A lot of things killed me. Alright, so I'm going to bring in the Pithing Needles, the Path to Exiles. I think I've been playing 3 on the nice 2 Path in this matchup. Kind of waffling back and forth. I have seen Heliod players moving back to chokes in the sideboard, so I think we need to have a couple of Force of Negations as answers to that. It is kind of nice that Elder Gargaroth can't be Skyclaved. I think I don't want the Borrower, though. Maybe Borrower's fine. Borrower's probably fine. Is a 1-of card really enough to beat Infinite Life reliably? Yeah, I think so. Especially because, like, if they go I gain Infinite Life, you say, okay, I don't care, or you act like you don't care, and then you just draw thousands of cards with Toski, and you're killing all their creatures with the swords. Eventually, you're just going to be so ahead on cards, you'll draw your 1 out to Infinite Life, and you'll be able to leverage that to a win because you're so ahead on cards. Okay, Queller's very good in this matchup. It's not sure what we want to cut. Maybe just have to cut the other forces. I guess we're not that soft to choke. Let's do this. But it's also, you know, if I have an out to Infinite Life, it certainly makes no sense to concede in that spot. Let me put back Teferi here. No turn 1 mana dork is good for me. Yes, my out is Jace ult. It seems like you guys all have been able to figure it out. Although I'm just kind of confused by... It's like, what's your out to Infinite Life? Jace Ultimate. And you guys know, that's the answer, yeah. It's kind of obvious, right? You guys are smart. You don't need me to tell you everything. Is Toski real and modern? Yes, I think Toski's great. You're not conceding makes sense. Your question was mostly about deck construction. Fair enough. I think it's enough to, like, it gives you so many more percentage points to just not have to concede in that spot, you know. And I do think that it is enough to. I don't know if. I know your question was to reliably win, but just having 1 out to Infinite Life I think is important right now. Yes. I think we were supposed to mana leak that. Maybe we didn't have to. Thrun the Last Troll. I feel like this is fine. Got lucky to draw the land there. I've lost a lot of matches to Thrun the Last Troll, but I kind of feel like this card is not that great anymore. Could be wrong, I guess. I almost like blocking here to make them tap a land. I think I'm not going to do it. Z-Bugs, 6 months in a row, 3-month streak coinciding with Thrun. Coincidence? Maybe a coincidence. Okay, let's equip. Do we feel like they have Path to Exile? Kind of do. put a counter on Thrawn. Interesting. What do you think about Archangel in the Heliod deck? I think it's good to play some amount of Archangel in the Heliod deck. I think we just take 5 next turn. Opponent's like, their life total is pretty low. Yeah, I kind of feel like I'd rather be playing Toski in this kind of spot as the green-white Heliod deck, but maybe I'm just addicted to the Toski. So my opponent has Coco, or they're at least representing it. I think we're just supposed to do this. Just say you have to Coco into... Okay, they don't even have anything. Elder Gargaroth pretty good against Thrawn. Yeah, I've seen people play Deicide. I kind of prefer Pithing Needle as a card that's just not so embarrassing to have in every other matchup. You know, like this card's really good against Tron decks. Good against, you know, random Belcher, Oops All Spells. You can bring it in against Control. Where Deicide is like... It's not even like that good against Heliod necessarily. Where like they can just still win with beatdown plans, and they can still sometimes gain infinite life or infinite damage, infinite damage with Spike Feeder, Archangel, Thune. It's like Deicide is a good card against Heliod combo, but it's not like I have Deicide in my deck, I'm gonna win against Heliod all the time because I have it. It's just kind of like a fine card. Yeah, Draboka's Command is a card I've been thinking about for this deck. I've played it in just like Bant Squirrelblade before. I've always felt like it's a little win more though. What's the matchup with Amulet Titan? It's okay. The Damping Spheres help a lot. I'd say that they're a little favored, but it's not like a terrible matchup in my opinion. If my opponent plays Arbor Elf, do I Needle Arbor Elf? My opponent mulled to 5. I could Needle this Arbor Elf. Then play 2 Hierarchs next turn. I think this is good. I don't think I'd do this unless my opponent, unless my opponent mulled to 5. But Arbor Elf is not a mana ability. Arbor Elf is the only elf that isn't. Because this is untap and not just activate a mana. Still have their 1/1. Someone asked for a confidence boost, I see. So usually confidence boost is for me to tell you a deck list is good, over 9,000. Is that what you wanted the confidence boost for? That's definitely the one channel point reward option that's like just kind of all over the place of what it actually gets redeemed for. And we're not, oh no, this is the second time I've done this. I don't think I'm going to need to have Queller plus Leak Up, but obviously it would just be correct to have that. Just you. Well, over 9,000, I hope that you have a... the attack. I hope that you're having a great day. I'm glad that you're at the channel. You're a wonderful person, and you're a delight to have around. There's your confidence boost. This is also a good draw. I guess I don't want to F6 because I could draw onto nicer. Hierarch. Or Toski. Toski. Please live. If they have an answer for my Queller, I mean, it's not even that bad, really, I think. Yeah, game's over. I mean, it obviously stinks for them that they had to mull to 5 here. Pretty sure I'm just going to play Toski with Leak Up. If I had one more mana to put Feast and Famine on the Queller, I would, but should play more than one Thrawn in your deck be allowed? Probably not. Toski. Seen that weird Bant stack deck with Coco? No. I probably don't look at enough deck lists. Well, I'm kind of just in the trenches. People send me decks a lot, but I don't really go on MTG Goldfish just to like look at 5-0 decks very often. All right, up to 3-1, only defeated by mono green. Am I sure Toski is good? For like the 1000th time today. Yeah, I don't know if you're just trolling, but I've probably played like 100 matches with this deck, conservatively 100 matches with this deck, and I have been loving Toski. Where is Kazuma? In the trade binder where she belongs. I don't think that card's very good. I have 5-0 to league with Kazuma, and a control deck built around Kazuma, and I'm of the opinion that Kazuma is not a playable modern card. I think I'm actually plussing Teferi here. I think it's better to let the Vial tick up once and then bounce it, rather than just let them immediately replay it. We can also, you know, maybe bounce Thalia or something. And like Petty Theft here. They have Giver of Runes. It's, you know, not great, but not the end of the world. Usually want to get Fire Ice in this matchup. Someone was saying that an article calling Toski bad came out recently. Maybe that's why I'm being asked. Maybe. They're wrong, though. A whole article about Toski being bad? It's weird. I mean, Toski is specifically great in deck with Stoneforge Mystic and Ice-Fang. Those are definitely like the two cards that Toski really, really shines with. Guess I kind of am regretting not getting the Batterskull right now. Regretting not drawing a land, too. I think I'm just going to let Teferi take 2 and maybe establish Sword of Fire and Ice. Was Coastal Piracy more playable the whole time? I mean, a Coastal Piracy that comes with a creature is so much better, because Toski does something by itself while Piracy doesn't. Piracy is vulnerable to counter spells, while Toski can't be countered. You can equip a Toski, you can't equip a Coastal Piracy. Toski's also great. Yeah, I think Toski's probably great in Ponza, I agree. Toski's probably a great sideboard card for basically any green creature deck, even if it's not a good main deck option. Thought-Knot Seer. Well, I think I'm still putting this into play, and my opponent will take my Anthonize. You can play it in board wipes? Yes, but Toski wants you to play like creatures that die to board wipes more so than it wants you to play board wipes. Everybody in my chat is just obsessed with Supreme Verdict. Everyone in my chat just like, they just are obsessed with Supreme Verdict. This is green white I don't know how I didn't notice, but this is just green white Eldrazi, which is awesome. Yeah, we lost to green white Eldrazi the other day. I don't think we were playing this deck though. They do decide to take the Anthonize. We draw a land. We can't hold up Queller. Playing a second Stoneforge Mystic is really bad against another copy of Thought-Knot Seer. So I think I just like main phase bouncing. And then if we drew a Noble Hierarch, we could play it. And if we just drew a tap land, we could play that as well. Which is what happened. And now next turn, if they Thought-Knot Seer or Stoneforge Mystic, it's not great for us, but it's also not that bad. Because we can maybe get Toski down. If they don't Thought-Knot Seer or Stoneforge Mystic, we get to put Batterskull into play immediately. What's my favorite metagame of all time? Just kind of like Return to Ravnica in a Strad Standard, probably. I loved Return to Ravnica in a Strad Standard. Yeah, Doomskar is, of course, only 3 mana, because as we all know, just taking your turn 2 to do nothing is just totally free in Modern. Also, double Horizon Canopy, very painful for my opponent here. Zoraz, 9 months. How much child support am I paying these sub babies? I guess $5 a month because of the subscriptions. I don't know. I found an E-Temple, which is pretty good for them. What's the plan for today's stream? I'm going to play 2 or 3 leagues of this, and then maybe play something else, and maybe not. Today's a little more freeform than it usually is. Waiting for Urza Gingerbread? Yeah, I might play a league of Urza Gingerbread. I was really liking the deck the other day. I'd love to get a trophy. We had 2 4-1s and a 3-2 with it on Wednesday. But I liked that deck. That's bad for me. Have I looked at the TSP set yet? I like a little bit. You can find the Bant Ephemerate deck in the Stream Decker. It's in there. I almost played it Wednesday. Kind of decided to do other stuff. So I'm just gonna get a Toski down. Yeah, this Displacer is maybe just gonna take over the game. I think I'm just gonna make them flicker the Germ. Oh, they're going to try to flicker the Skyclave and exile my Sword of Fire Ice. Our saving grace here is probably going to be those 2 copies of Horizon Canopy. They can exile the Toski, but maybe that'll leave us with a 4/4 token. I think all we can really do is tax their Displacer activations. If they find a second temple, they can double activate, or triple activate rather, which would be pretty bad for us. You should have used the Stoneforge Mystic in response to them casting Displacer. If they displace the Thought-Knot Seer response to activating Stoneforge Mystic. Ah, you're right. Tracker, interesting. So they're limited to just 1 Displacer activation here. So we can Stoneforge and equip sort of Feast and Famine onto something. The problem is anything we equip onto that cannot be blocked by Thought-Knot Seer is just going to get either Skyclaved or flickered by Displacer. So I'm probably a bit more interested in playing Ice-Fang main phase, seeing what we draw. If we draw Anthonize, it's pretty good for us. If we draw Island, we can play Borrower or Mana Leak. It is a blue source, but with no Prairie Stream, it does cost us some life here. Have I ever tried this list, but with Geist of St. Traft over Toski? I have played Geist of St. Traft in these Bant decks before Toski was a card. I thought Maul of the Skyclaves would make Geist of St. Traft really good, but Geist of St. Traft is still just a super medium card in Modern. Toski is great. I don't know why people keep asking about Toski being good today. I thought we had established that Toski was good already. Is Maul good? Maul is fine in some Bant Blade decks. I think if you're playing Geist of St. Traft, you definitely want to play Maul because, you know, you're trying to make Geist of St. Traft work, and I think like that's the card that does it more than anything else. Have a 2-drop to Violin. Charming Prince. Gaining 3 life, interesting. Should you get Archangel of Thune or Resplendent Angel in a modern lifelink deck? I don't... With Peace and Love, I don't know what a modern lifelink deck is. Dude, second Eldrazi Temple? Gross. Just need to draw an Onto Nice or maybe Teferi. If only Toski had X-Proof too, then it would be good. So they have 3 activations up. Yeah, the fact that they have Skyclave too stinks because I could like equip the sword onto Ice-Fang. I think that's what I'm still doing. But we're in a losing spot unless we draw an out to Displacer in the next couple turns. I'm just gonna go to game 2. Have I played any Pioneer lately? Yeah, I played some last week. Format's okay. Seems fine. Gargaroth seems kind of good against them, right? They can't, I guess it's pretty bad against Displacer. Can't get Skyclave, though. What's my latest take on Grixis control in Modern? I have a blue-black control deck that, in my opinion, is better than Grixis. That I would recommend. You just play one Gargaroth. Like, I really don't think you need to splash red. But you can find the Dimir control deck in the Stream Decker. But Grixis, yeah, I get it. I get that people want to play their favorite color combination. I never build a deck, though, just because I like a color combination, you know? It's just never something that I do. And so, like, I just don't really see... I don't think that there's a good reason to be Grixis over Dimir right now. That can always change, of course. What is this deck's worst matchup? Mono Green Tron's tough. You're, like, not a favorite against Amulet Titan. We just got crushed by Mono Green Devotion. Taxes is probably a little unfavorable, as we're seeing right here, but Taxes is also just not that popular. What do I think about Sultai control? I also don't see like a great reason to be Sultai either. It's like, I mean, maybe you could enlighten me, but what is drawing you to Sultai? Like, I know you get Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy, but I'm not sure that those are just worth splashing. You know, you've lost so much. Yeah, Uro's gone, you know. Veil of Summer, Coatl, fair. I don't know. You could probably play Sultai. I think it's probably not amazing though. Dead of Winter is actually pretty cool. Maybe we'll look at Sultai. Any chance we see another Pyre Humans League in the near future? Maybe. Like, I do like the deck. I've tried to make a full-blown snow deck. I don't really feel like the support is necessarily there. Alright, so they get to Skyclave, this on the nice. You go for Sultai, Wilderness Wreck. Yeah, I think that those decks are fine. Get a Sword of Feast and Famine. I'm actually holding up Petty Theft here. My opponent's pretty incentivized to go like sword, equip sword, and if we Petty Theft the sword and untap and hit them with Sword of Fire and Ice, it's actually pretty good for us. Or maybe it's better to Petty Theft the Skyclave Apparition so that they just can't immediately equip. It does mean that we're gonna get our Sword of Fire and Ice Skyclaved. Yeah, we just can't let them get a free equip and hit next turn. Yeah, I've been playing Brazen Borrower in this deck. I think Borrower's good here. I mean, if they're just Skyclaving my sword the next turn, it's just not the end of the world. Yeah, I know they could target my equipment next turn, but like this is the better line. It's just like so bad for them to like get a free equip, hit us, untap, get to use all their mana when they have a ton of cards in hand. And if their whole turn is just Skyclave my sword, that's not that bad for me. And if they just, for some reason, choose to play Thought-Knot Seer instead, it's also pretty good. Well, now I'm regretting not equipping the Ice-Fang. And now we can mana leak their... If they don't take Teferi, we can mana leak their Skyclave Apparition. Maybe. We can chump block the Thought-Knot Seer if they equip the Sword of Feast and Famine. It's an interesting draw. Yeah, Frost Augur is pretty good. I don't know, I really just don't think the support is there, though. Like, your deck is just... The actual game plan the snow decks are enacting is pretty bad, I think. Just, like... semi-efficient threats and like, loose card advantage. I think you're just kind of like not enacting a good game plan, which is not where you want to be in this format. We saw the line. Tough game for sure. Antonai's looking not great against... We saw Ghost Quarter that game. We didn't see Ghost Quarter the game before. I think I'm going to at least trim one copy. But it's, against the Skyclave Apparition Ghost Quarter decks, Antonais does struggle. Admittedly. I'm going to keep this hand. Being able to Antonais a Mana Dork or a Stoneforge Mystic is pretty nice. Or a Giver of Runes. It's a good draw. Yeah, I really like switching to the full 8 white fetch lands. Just, or I guess 9 if you count Vista. Just being able to Antonais on turn 1 more consistently has been good. Can we not go deeper on Path and Oust as Antonais essential play with Coatl? I think Antonais is great. It's bad specifically against Death and Taxes decks and Ponza, which are not very popular, although you do play against them sometimes. But I think that they are, you know, rare enough that I don't feel the need to move off of Antonais. But also, like, I know everybody wants me to play Path, and I've been very low on Path in this deck. Kind of weird for them to play a second Stoneforge Mystic when they can't. Like, I feel like playing an Eldrazi, or if they had one, or activating Stoneforge Mystic is better than just playing one here. Obviously, we don't know the exact contents of their hand, or the exact contents of their heart, but... They got a Sword of Feast and Famine too, not a Batterskull. I guess they want pro-black. Do I think Antonais is better than Swords? Oh my gosh. Can't believe we're bringing up Sword again. We were supposed to play Flooded Strand, but I also can't imagine that I'm playing... Yeah, never mind. There's like no way I play Ice-Fang this turn, right? Just like I'm 100% to put Batterskull in, so I want to get Glacial Floodplain into Basic Island. This is a good line. I think I'm discarding Elder Gargaroth, maybe? Maybe second Ice-Fang. Yeah, they want to pro-green. I mean, green and black is relevant for Germ and Snake. Why not chump and activate? Maybe that was better. Although a chump next turn for the Sword of Fire and Ice is also maybe better than chumping this turn. Well, bad sequencing, right? To play their land before Tracker. Manriki would be pretty good, yeah. That's an interesting draw. Probably gonna go Jace bounce on tracker here. Opponent's hand is Sword of Fire and Ice Mystery card. And we could jump block the Stoneforge Mystic with our Stoneforge Mystic this turn to get a Brainstorm off. If they had Vial on 2, I wouldn't be making this line. The Feared Mana Tithe. I briefly considered playing a Mana Tithe in our deck today. I decided against it. By the way. It's a really interesting game. It's a fun match. Opponent's hand is Tireless Tracker, Sword of Fire and Ice Mystery card. Has anyone ever Mana Tithe the Mana Tithe? Probably, I can't imagine a scenario where it's ever correct to Mana Tithe the Mana Tithe. I guess if you had revealed Mana Tithe to some effect that allowed you to play spells without paying their mana cost, I think it would be better. Monastery Mentor ? Summarizes my thoughts very well. Oh, yeah, Chandra Torture Defiance Emblem, a Monastery Mentor in play. Oh, that's what Monastery Mentor. Yes, yes. Monastery Mentor in play, Young Pyromancer in play, Sprite Dragon in play, something like that. Hey, Thena. They have Path for my Stoneforge? 3 mana. To Skyclave Apparition, my Jace. I'm assuming. Oh no, they should Skyclave Apparition my Stoneforge, then attack Jace. Yeah, this was a mistake on their part. So now, I guess I just don't chump this turn, right? Guess it lets them play their hand. Well, 19 months, hope you're having a good day. Yeah, it's probably the turn to chump. Just let them play Tracker Equip. Oh, what an insane draw. I can't believe it. It's absurdly good for us. So I might just bounce Skyclave here with Teferi. That way I don't want them to get to chump, and then we'll have 2 lethal attackers in play. And just no good targets for their Skyclave. They do get to Violent Tracker next turn. But I really don't want them to chump here. I'm trying to kill him. Got a Confidence Boost Redemption 2. Four Path to Exile and 56 Islands. Very good. Path to Exile, always good. Perfect deck building. Love it. I haven't seen me drink any water. Can I add a Hydrate Redemption? I'm very hydrated right now. I get very hydrated before the stream, and I drink a lot of water throughout usually. That's my favorite part about having an espresso maker, actually, is that, you know, I used to drink, you know, like 2 full cups of coffee in the morning, but the espressos are a lot smaller. So I can actually drink like 2 glasses of water every morning and 2 cups of espresso. Is this deck my brew, or did I tweak it to suit me? I mean, I didn't invent Bant Squirrelblade, but I was definitely the first person, I say with complete humility, I was definitely the first person to put Toski in Stoneblade, and, you know, I had this going before the Valky, you know, nerf. So I would call it my brew, yes, but it's not like I invented Bant Stoneblade. Or maybe I did, because like right after Stoneforge Mystic got unbanned in Modern, I did top 8 a PTQ with like a Bant Squirrelblade, pretty different list, and no, I did not invent Bant Stoneblade. White Nerdy has redeemed Tell a Bad Beat Story. I know we keep cycling through these. I don't think I have another one on deck. So my opponent does have Skyclave Apparition, remember, that can get back their Giver of Runes. But certainly my worst bad beat is still Toski is interesting. Because they can Skyclave Toski. Maybe that's fine. No, I probably want to play Gargaroth this turn, post-combat. My worst bad beat is probably when I was playing the Legacy Pro Tour. It was the final match. The winner of this match was going to top 8 the Legacy Pro Tour, although that's less relevant because top 4 is what qualified you for, Sunday. But still, top 8ing was a huge jump in cash, and it was an automatic Pro Tour invite for the next one. I was playing Ad Nauseam, which is their last card was Knight of the Reliquary. I was playing Ad Nauseam, which is Ad Nauseam Tinjils, which is my favorite Legacy deck, and am I killing Knight or Tracker? I think I'm killing Knight. And I was playing against Merfolk in the last round, and my opponent had 0 cards the previous turn, and they went and they drew 1 new card. And being Legacy, I could beat a Daze, and they couldn't have Force of Will. This was before Force of Negation. They couldn't have Force of Will because they didn't have 5 mana. They didn't have an extra card to pitch. But the one card that they drew was their 1 copy of Vendilion Click, which was able to disrupt my combo. And I lost that game, and we did not win the match as a team. And, that ended up translating into not another Pro Tour invite and losses of thousands of dollars, but also did kind of translate. I honestly don't know that I would have become a streamer if I didn't lose exactly that match, for whatever that's worth. But they played exactly 1 card that stopped me from comboing that turn in their deck. It was the 1 Vendilion Click. I did get to see the deck list after, and it was brutal. Why didn't they kill Germ Token? You mean double block the Germ Token? Yeah, and now I'm a streamer. Kind of weird for them to go for Teferi over Ice, but whatever. Don't really feel like Teferi matters that much here. I'm probably discarding Toski over Ice-Fang, right? It's kind of funny to think about how I thought, I got so unlucky there that they had their 1 out, and in the moment it felt really bad. But I also genuinely don't know that I would have ever started streaming if I didn't lose that PT, because that was because I guess after I lost there, I was bronze with 13 pro points, 2 pro points away from becoming silver, and I had 9 months to get those 2 pro points. And a silver would have translated to an invite to the next Pro Tour. The next Pro Tour was in my city, so I didn't even have to pay for an expensive flight because silver was the only pro invite method that doesn't pay for your flight or back in the day, right? When that was still a thing. And so I had 9 months to get 2 pro points to become silver, and if I had a good run at the silver Pro Tour, I had a really good chance of making gold, and I was really, really excited. And then, like 2 weeks after, I was, planning all this out and planning my trips, they announced that they were doing away with the pro point system completely. And then, and that's when I quit, the grind, really. And then decided to give streaming a chance, and it ended up working out really well. Well, Elder Gargaroth has Trample. I'm going to attack with both. I'm also going to draw a card. I guess I should have played my land first, but I also don't have 4 drops I could play right here. Would I change that loss to a win now looking back? Yes. Yes. I don't know. Maybe not. Yes. I think they're dead here if they don't have Path. Why not Ice-Fang end of turn, kill it? I didn't have 2 mana up, did I? Oh, sorry. No, I want to Ice-Fang now to draw a card. I see what you're saying. But I want to draw a card because, oh, they actually aren't dead, aren't they? I don't know. I think there's if we can draw anything here to put a little more pressure on, specifically a removal spell, I think it's worth it to dig for that. But I see what you're saying. Doe Hater 19 month. Huzzah, squirrels, right back to you. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it's better to look for a removal spell, though. Evan, 21 months. Another month as a Spikeling in the Shark Typhoon. Wow. Hell yeah. I didn't even know I'd been streaming that long. What's my favorite control deck in this meta? Probably Dimir Control. I like Bant, I like Jeskai, but I think I've been having the most success with Dimir. And it's not lethal. I mean, I couldn't block anyways. A measly 14 damage here. Although they do get to untap all their lands. Am I winning this match? I think I'm ahead right now. My opponent has to figure out how to deal with 4 creatures here. But if they have Eldrazi Displacer to just Violent and activate 4 times because they have 3 temples, we get got. That's 1 blocker. I guess I'll fetch to Thin since we're just not getting another draw step. They conceded. Alright, 4-1, losing only to Mono Green Devotion in round 1, which seems like a really bad matchup, but not one we'll have to worry about too much. Whoa! Look at these chests! Force of Negation, not as expensive as it used to be, but there's also a full art Oko, which I guess is now banned in Legacy, so, you know, less exciting. But the Force of Negation's probably still like $70.